Imagine a tiny, unseen byproduct of your body's daily work. Something that could be silently um, damaging your joints and kidneys, potentially leading to, well, agonizing pain down the line. We're talking about uric acid.
And the really empowering thing here is that while that might sound a bit intimidating, you actually have a surprising amount of control over these levels
Oh, so?
through, simple dietary choices and by bringing specific foods into your diet.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really break this down. We want to show you exactly how tweaking what you eat, embracing certain foods, how that can help you naturally manage uric acid and ultimately protect your body. Let's dive in.
Yeah, let's do it. So to get a handle on this, let's first understand what uric acid actually is. Think about all those microscopic chemical reactions constantly happening inside you. Uric acid is just one of the natural byproducts.
Oh, okay. So it's not like some foreign invader we need to battle.
Yeah, precisely. It's a substance your body makes when it breaks down things called purines. Now, purines themselves aren't bad either. They're actually essential parts of our DNA and RNA. And of course, we get them from food too.
Right, right. So whether it's just our own cells turning over or, digesting a meal, uric acid is kind of the result.
That's the basic idea, yes. Cell turnover, breaking down purine-rich foods. It all leads to this process, and uric acid is an end product. Normally, it's just there, circulating in your bloodstream.
And the trouble kicks in when there's just too much of it.
You've got it. When the level gets too high in your blood, that's called hyperuricemia. And we have established healthy ranges for this. Typically, it's about 3.4 to 7.0 milligrams per deciliter for adult men.
Okay.
And about 2.4 to 6.0 for adult women. Now, these numbers can vary a little bit depending on the lab, but they give us a good general target.
Okay, so how does the body normally keep things in that sweet spot?
It's really a constant balancing act, between how much is produced and how much gets removed or excreted.
Makes sense.
On the production side, like we said, it comes from purines, both the ones our body makes naturally, called endogenous purines, and the ones from food, exogenous purines. Think purine-heavy foods like red meat, certain seafood, organ meats.
Gotcha. And how does the body get rid of it then?
Mostly through the kidneys. They filter the uric acid out of your blood, and it leaves your body in urine. That handles about 2/3 of the removal.
And the other third?
That gets eliminated through the intestines.
Okay, so what throws this balance off? Why do levels spike?
It generally boils down to one of two things. Either you're producing too much or you're not getting rid of enough.
Right.
Overproduction can happen if you eat a diet really high in purines, or certain medical conditions like psoriasis or some cancers can speed up cell turnover. Even chemotherapy can do it.
And what about not getting rid of enough?
That often comes down to the kidneys not working quite right. Impaired kidney function is a big one. Also, certain medications, like some diuretics, can interfere. And even just being dehydrated can slow down excretion.
So it sounds like uric acid itself isn't the villain here. It's the quantity.
That's a really great way to put it, yeah. At normal levels, it can even act as an antioxidant, which is beneficial. The problem is purely about excess.
Okay.
And here's something really key. Many people actually have elevated levels, what we call asymptomatic hyperuricemia, without feeling any symptoms right away.
Wow. So it could be building up silently.
Yeah.
And causing problems later.
Exactly that. This sort of silent accumulation over time can lead to tiny crystals forming, maybe in the joints, maybe in the kidneys. And because there aren't those immediate warning signs, people might not realize there's an issue until, bam, they get hit with a really painful gout attack or a kidney stone.
So it sounds like a mix of things then. Our diet, our genes, maybe other health stuff we have going on, our lifestyle. It all feeds into this balance.
Absolutely. It's multifaceted. So just to recap the core message. Uric acid is a natural waste product from breaking down purines. High levels, hyperuricemia, happen when the body either makes too much or can't eliminate enough.
And the reason we should all care is that this can lead to pretty significant and, frankly, painful health issues, mainly hitting our joints and kidneys, but maybe even having wider health effects down the road.
That's right. And it's fascinating because, most people hear high uric acid and immediately think of gout. That classic, intense pain, often in the big toe.
Yeah, that's the image most people have.
But the potential damage really goes beyond just that. Hyperuricemia, that high level, is the root cause. It allows uric acid to form those sharp, Needle-like crystals, monosodium urate
Oh.
crystals. Yeah. And in gout, these crystals build up inside a joint, and that sparks this really powerful inflammatory response. That's what causes that sudden, just excruciating pain. People describe it as throbbing, crushing, alongside redness, swelling, warmth. The joint can become so tender that even the lightest touch is unbearable. It really limits movement, too.
And you said it's not always the big toe, right?
No, definitely not. While the big toe is very common, gout can absolutely affect other joints. Think insteps, ankles, heels, knees, wrists, even fingers. And these flare-ups, unfortunately, can linger for days or even weeks if they aren't treated, and they tend to come back.
But you also mentioned the kidneys earlier. How are they involved?
Right. So if your blood uric acid levels stay high for a long time, those same urate crystals can actually form in the kidneys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If your urine gets too concentrated or maybe too acidic, the uric acid can crystallize out and form uric acid kidney stones. And believe me, the pain from kidney stones, it can be absolutely agonizing. It's often described as a sharp, cramping pain in your back or side, and it can radiate down towards the lower abdomen and groin. Renal colic, they call it.
Sounds truly awful.
Yeah.
Are there other signs if you have kidney stones?
You might also notice you have to urinate more often, or it might be painful. Sometimes there's blood in the urine, or it might look cloudy or even have a foul smell. But the problems aren't always these, sudden acute attacks.
What happens if uric acid just stays high chronically?
Well, chronic hyperuricemia can lead to ongoing, sometimes even irreversible damage to the joints and the tissues surrounding them. If you have frequent gout attacks that aren't managed well, they can gradually wear away the cartilage and even the bone.
Leading to long-term issues.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Persistent pain, joint deformities, loss of function, and you can also develop something called Tophi.
Tophi. What are those?
They're basically larger deposits of these urate crystals that form under the skin. They can look like hard, chalky little lumps, often white or yellowish, usually around the affected joints, but you can also get them on your ears or along tendons. They might not hurt initially, but they can definitely become inflamed and tender. And they're a real clear sign that uric acid has been high for a prolonged period.
So gout is basically, it's a form of inflammatory arthritis then?
Precisely. But it's a real mistake to only think about the joints, because hyperuricemia is systemic. That high uric acid is circulating everywhere in your body. And the inflammation triggered by those crystals, it isn't always confined just to the joints. Chronic high uric acid can contribute to a sort of low-grade systemic inflammation throughout your body.
And is that where the link to other health problems comes in?
Exactly that. There's a growing body of research suggesting a connection between persistently high uric acid and other metabolic and cardiovascular issues. We're still figuring out the exact cause and effect relationship, but studies suggest it might play a contributing role.
In what kind of conditions?
Things like chronic kidney disease, going beyond just the stones, but also hypertension, so high blood pressure, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It seems like it could be a factor in overall metabolic dysregulation.
Wow. So this really elevates the concern beyond just preventing a painful gout attack. It's about our overall long-term health.
That's absolutely right. Managing uric acid effectively becomes really vital for protecting your health across multiple systems in your body. And this loops back to why that asymptomatic hyperuricemia is so concerning. These underlying risks could be developing without you even knowing it.
Okay, so putting it all together,
Yeah.
beyond the sheer agony of gout, we're looking at risks like painful kidney stones, long-term joint damage, those disfiguring tophis, and potentially a role in wider tissue damage, contributing to big things like heart disease and diabetes. That's definitely a compelling reason to pay attention.
Absolutely. And one of the most powerful ways to take control is by really understanding what we're putting on our plates every single day.
Which brings us right into the kitchen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the culprits. What are some common foods that can actually push our uric acid levels up? It might even surprise people, right? That seemingly healthy diets could inadvertently be part of the problem.
That's a really important point. It's not always the obvious junk food. Understanding which everyday foods are high in purines is key. Remember, when we eat a lot of purine-rich foods, we're basically giving our bodies extra raw material to make uric acid.
Right.
And often, those comfort foods or cultural staples, they can contain ingredients that significantly add to our purine load without us realizing it.
So just knowing the purine content is a big first step.
It's crucial for making informed choices. Let's start with a big one, red meat. Things like beef, lamb, pork. These are well-known major sources of purines. Eating them regularly definitely leads to increased uric acid production. So if you're concerned about hyperuricemia, moderation is absolutely key. That means thinking about frequency and portion size.
What about organ meats, like liver, kidneys? Some people see those as nutrient powerhouses.
They do contain nutrients, yes, but when it comes to purines, organ meats are exceptionally high, like really high. Research often explicitly states they contain very high amounts of purines and should be avoided.
Wow, okay. Why so high?
It's because of their high metabolic activity and rapid cell turnover. So, if your main goal is lowering uric acid or preventing gout flares, it's generally best to eliminate these, or at the very least, minimize them strictly.
Got it. Red meat in moderation, organ meats mostly out. What about seafood? Is that a concern too?
Yes, certain types of seafood can be significant contributors to purine intake as well. Several sources highlight this. We're talking specifically about shellfish like mussels and scallops, and certain fish like sardines and anchovies. Those are quite high.
Any others?
Herring and mackerel are often mentioned too, and even some others like trout and tuna can be problematic if eaten frequently or in large amounts. Regular consumption of these high purine types can boost uric acid production similarly to red meat, so being selective is important. Maybe choosing lower purine fish more often and limiting those high purine varieties.
Okay, so it's not just solids. What about drinks? I think you mentioned alcohol earlier.
Yes, absolutely. Beverages can definitely play a role. Alcohol is kind of a double whammy. First, it actually hinders your kidney's ability to get rid of uric acid, causing it to build up.
Ah,
Second, some alcoholic drinks, especially beer, are quite high in purines themselves. Research clearly shows beer and spirits can significantly raise uric acid levels. Plus, alcohol can increase your body's internal production of purines, so it's hitting you from multiple angles. Limiting alcohol intake is really recommended. The general guideline is often no more than one standard drink per day for women, two for men.
okay. Beer and spirits are particularly tricky. What about sugary drinks? We know they're not great generally, but do they impact uric acid?
They absolutely do. Sugary beverages, particularly those sweetened with high fructose corn syrup, HFCS, are known drivers of uric acid production.
How does that work?
Well, as your body breaks down fructose, it actually releases purines as part of that process, which directly increases uric acid levels. And think about drinks like sodas, sugary fruit juices, sweetened iced teas. They get absorbed incredibly quickly because they don't have fiber or protein to slow things down.
Right, like a direct hit of sugar.
Exactly. And research shows this rapid absorption spikes blood sugar faster and leads to higher uric acid levels consequently. It's often the consistent cumulative effect of regularly consuming these high purine foods and drinks that really adds up over time. These everyday choices made without awareness can really impact your levels. Limiting these specific culprits is a key strategy.
Okay, so just to quickly recap the main dietary things to watch. Red meats, organ meats, certain seafoods like anchovies and mussels, alcohol, especially beer, and those sugary drinks packed with fructose. It's a really helpful list.
It is. But now for the positive side. There are also some fantastic foods out there that can actively help your body manage uric acid better.
Great. Let's shift gears. Instead of just avoiding things, what should we be actively adding to our plates?
Exactly. Think of these as food powerhouses working for you. Incorporating beneficial foods provides really valuable extra support alongside a lower purine diet. First up on our list, cherries. Fresh, juice, even extract form.
Cherries. Yes, I feel like I hear about those a lot for gout. Is there truth to it?
It's a very popular home remedy, and yeah, there's some pretty encouraging research behind it. A big study back in 2019 found a lower risk of gout attacks in people who consumed cherries regularly.
Why cherries specifically?
The benefits seem to come from anthocyanins. Those are the pigments that give cherries their vibrant red color. They have strong antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, so cherries might help reduce the inflammation associated with gout and maybe even directly lower uric acid levels. Some studies also suggest they might have a slight diuretic effect, helping the kidneys flush out more uric acid.
Interesting. How much should someone aim for?
A good target seems to be about 1 to 2 servings daily. That could be, say, a cup of fresh cherries, or a glass of unsweetened cherry juice, or an equivalent amount in extract form if you prefer.
Sounds delicious and doable.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next on the good list?
Next up, foods rich in vitamin C. Vitamin C appears to help lower uric acid mainly by enhancing the kidney's ability to excrete it, get it out of the system faster.
Makes sense.
Yeah, a study in 2021 highlighted that higher vitamin C intake can indeed lead to lower uric acid levels. The typical daily recommendation is somewhere between 75 and 120 milligrams, though the upper limit is much higher, around 2,000 milligrams.
And where do we find vitamin C easily?
Think citrus fruits, oranges, grapefruit, lemons, limes. Also, kiwis, strawberries, and bell peppers, especially the red and yellow ones, are fantastic sources. Just incorporating a colorful variety of these into your meals and snacks is a great approach. If getting enough through diet is tough, supplements are an option, but definitely chat with your doctor before starting those.
Good advice. Okay, number 3.
Our third ally is something simple but incredibly important: water.
Ah, good old H2O. Crucial for everything.
Absolutely. Staying properly hydrated is paramount. Aiming for about 8 to 10 glasses a day, which is roughly 2 to 2.5 liters, really helps your kidneys do their job efficiently flushing out excess uric acid. Good hydration keeps your blood volume optimal and supports kidney filtration. It promotes healthy urine production, which carries away waste like uric acid, and it also helps dilute your urine, significantly reducing the risk of those painful uric acid kidney stones forming.
Makes perfect sense. Easy to forget, but so important. Okay, what's number 4?
Number 4 is a broader category, focusing on low purine vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. A diet built around these is really a cornerstone of managing uric acid effectively.
So most plant-based foods are generally good.
For the most part, yes, they provide loads of nutrients without significantly bumping up uric acid production. For whole grains, think brown rice, whole wheat bread, oats, quinoa. These are great choices. They also tend to have a lower glycemic index and offer fiber, vitamins, and minerals.
Are there any vegetables we should be a bit more mindful of?
Yes, it's worth noting that a few vegetables do have comparatively higher purine levels than others. Things like asparagus, cauliflower, mushrooms, spinach, even oats and wheat bran fall into the slightly higher category. So if uric acid is a big concern for you, moderation with these specific ones might be wise, depending on your individual sensitivity and your overall diet.
That's really useful nuance. Okay, and the 5th and final food helper.
Our 5th one is apple cider vinegar, or ACV. You hear a lot about it in natural health circles for various things.
Right, it seems to pop up everywhere.
It does, and there's some anecdotal evidence and preliminary suggestions from research that it might help lower uric acid. The proposed ideas are maybe it helps alkalize the body or supports kidney function, but the exact mechanism isn't super clear yet.
So the science isn't totally solid on this one.
Robust human clinical trials specifically looking at ACV for gout or significant uric acid reduction are still quite limited. Some studies show general kidney support, maybe. So if you're interested in trying it, the usual suggestion is mixing 1 or 2 tablespoons of raw, unfiltered ACV in a glass of water daily.
But with a caution.
Definitely. Because it's acidic and can interact with certain conditions or medications, it's really important to talk to your healthcare provider before you start using ACV regularly, especially if you have diabetes, digestive issues, or are on any meds.
Okay, great advice. So recapping our 5 natural food allies: cherries, vitamin C-rich foods, plenty of water, loading up on low-purine veggies, fruits, and whole grains, with slight caution on a few specific veggies, and potentially apple cider vinegar, used carefully and with medical advice. That's a solid dietary toolkit.
It really is. And remember, diet is huge, but managing uric acid effectively often involves looking beyond just the plate. Other lifestyle factors play a really significant role too.
Absolutely. Eating right is a massive piece. But what other daily habits can really bolster our efforts against high uric acid?
Well, a really big one is weight management. Being overweight or obese significantly increases the risk of developing hyperuricemia.
How does weight affect it?
There are a couple of ways. Excess body fat can actually impair the kidney's ability to eliminate uric acid effectively, leading it to build up. Plus, there's often a link between excess weight and insulin resistance itself can contribute to higher uric acid levels.
Okay, so managing weight is key.
It is, but the good news is you don't necessarily need drastic changes. Even a modest weight loss, say 5 to 10% of your body weight, can lead to really meaningful improvements in uric acid levels and your overall health. For someone who weighs 200 pounds, that's just 10 to 20 pounds.
That sounds achievable.
Right. The focus should be on sustainable strategies like incorporating more whole foods and regular physical activity. It's generally best to avoid those really radical or extreme crash diets, as they're often not effective long-term and can sometimes even cause a temporary spike in uric acid.
Makes sense. And you mentioned physical activity. That's the next point.
Exactly. Engaging in regular physical activity is essential. It helps with weight management, obviously, by burning calories, but it also helps reduce inflammation throughout the body, which is beneficial for managing both gout and the other potential effects of high uric acid.
What kind of exercise is best?
The general recommendation is to aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise each week. That could be something like 30 minutes, 5 days a week.
And what counts as moderate?
Think brisk walking, cycling, swimming, even dancing. These are all great options. They're enjoyable ways to stay active, and you don't usually need special equipment. You could take a brisk walk at lunch, cycle commute if possible, join a dance class, find something you like. Exercise also helps regulate insulin levels, which, as we touched on, can indirectly help control uric acid over time.
Great. So activity is key. Now, we talked about alcohol with diet, but it seems important enough to bring up again here as a lifestyle factor.
Definitely. Limiting alcohol consumption is just a crucial lifestyle choice if you're managing uric acid. Remember that double hit. It contains purines, especially beer, and it hinders kidney elimination.
Right, it can undo your dietary efforts.
Exactly. It can counteract a really careful low purine diet. The impact on blood uric acid levels can be quite significant. So moderation is the standard advice, no more than one standard drink a day for women, 2 for men. But honestly, if you have diagnosed gout or consistently high levels, your doctor might recommend even stricter limits or perhaps avoiding it altogether.
Okay. What about stress? Does that play a role?
It's an interesting one. Stress doesn't directly make your body produce more uric acid. However, chronic stress can definitely trigger unhealthy coping mechanisms or habits that do contribute.
Like what?
Well, when stressed, people might be more likely to reach for those high purine comfort foods, or maybe sugary drinks or alcohol. They might also skip their workouts. So stress can indirectly lead to choices that raise uric acid.
So managing stress helps manage uric acid.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
Incorporating stress reduction techniques, things like mindfulness, meditation, yoga, even simple deep breathing exercises, can really help maintain emotional balance and promote overall health. These practices can help prevent those stress-induced behaviors that might otherwise worsen your uric acid levels. So it's a valuable, if indirect, tool.
That makes a lot of sense. And finally, I guess we have to circle back to hydration again. Keeps coming up.
It's that fundamental. Consistent, adequate water intake throughout the day is just vital for optimal kidney function. And we keep saying it, but the kidneys are the main filters getting rid of excess uric acid. Enough water ensures they have the fluid volume they need to flush things out efficiently and keeps urine diluted, reducing that kidney stone risk. It's just a cornerstone of a healthy lifestyle overall.
So all these lifestyle factors, weight management, exercise, limiting alcohol, managing stress, staying hydrated, they all work together with the diet changes, right?
Precisely. They have a synergistic effect. It's not just one thing. Exercise helps with weight. Stress management helps you stick to healthy eating and exercise. Addressing all these different aspects creates a much more comprehensive and resilient strategy against high uric acid. It really empowers you with greater control over your health.
Okay, so a quick lifestyle recap. Aim for a healthy weight, get regular moderate exercise, that 150 minutes a week. Be mindful of alcohol, find ways to manage stress, and drink plenty of water. All really actionable steps.
Exactly. And armed with all this knowledge about diet and lifestyle, you really have a strong foundation for naturally managing your uric acid levels.
That's really empowering information. We've covered so many great natural strategies, but when should someone definitely stop trying to manage it just on their own and seek professional medical advice?
That is such a crucial point. While these natural approaches can be incredibly effective for many, it's absolutely essential to consult with a healthcare provider if you're experiencing frequent or severe joint pain, if you have symptoms that might suggest kidney stones like that sharp back or side pain, or changes in urination, or if you simply have a known history of hyperuricemia.
Why is that so important?
Because they can do proper testing, like blood tests, to get an accurate picture of your uric acid levels. And based on that, plus your overall health profile, they can offer personalized advice and treatment options if needed. They can guide you on whether lifestyle changes are enough or if medication might be necessary.
So the takeaway is, use this knowledge, definitely start incorporating these natural strategies into your daily life. They can make a huge difference. But please, don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor or healthcare provider, especially if you have symptoms or a history of high uric acid. It's about being proactive and collaborative in your health journey.
Precisely. That combination of informed self-care through natural strategies, coupled with professional guidance when it's needed, is really the best way to improve your well-being and protect yourself from the potential long-term complications of high uric acid.
Fantastic. Well, if you found this deep dive helpful, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time. Until then, keep learning and stay healthy. Bye for now.